One of the largest issues in the Heights is that of parking. Cars are already parked on sidewalks, curb cuts seem to be given on demand, and developers are constantly pushing for higher density and fewer parking spots. A parking garage is desperately needed. Can you commit to building a city-owned parking garage in the Heights? And additionally, how will you help eliminate the illegal parking practices that are so prevalent in the Heights?
Okay. So there's a couple components to that question. So let me start by saying building a parking facility in the Heights or downtown or in Greenville. Currently, it is not slated anywhere in the city to build one. There's a couple reasons for that. Number one is that, generally speaking, the city tries not to encourage more vehicular traffic. The more parking spots you build and parking decks you build, you attract more cars. That's one component from a planning standpoint. The second aspect of it is that the amount of space that you need in order to build a parking deck is challenging to come by, particularly in the Heights over here. There's open lots on Central Avenue. I think that your councilman was working on a plan, a redevelopment plan at some point as it relates to Central Avenue. He's obviously very aware of it. But there's nothing slated today specifically to build any parking decks anywhere in the city. So again, we balance costs with reality on that, and that's kind of where we ultimately are. As it relates to parking in front of your house, carports, those perpendicular parking spots, the Heights tends to be very complicated on this and a lot of differing opinions. Over the last couple years, when I was on the city council, as well as in my current role, we've deferred to your community groups on it. Your community groups have kind of set the stage on what they want ultimately, and we defer to them. As it relates to additional cars, a lot of that has to be also due to illegal apartments. We are enforcing that best we can and more aggressively, ticketing, fining owners of those. We have people going out. I get emails on it every single day. But again, that is a slow process ultimately. So there's a lot of things happening, but I tell you that it's not a Heights unique issue. It is a citywide issue from a growing standpoint of the city. That's really where we are ultimately. So that's kind of as straightforward as I can be on it without telling you that I'm going to build something, which truthfully I'm not building today. And I just want to kind of level with you on that. So.
Well, thank you for that.
Nobody claps for me.
A somewhat related question here. With no area, residents need reliable 24-hour public transportation. Although we're thrilled to have City Bike here, we'd be foolish to think that they're a cure-all. What can you do to pressure New Jersey Transit and the state to provide comprehensive and reliable public transportation to the Heights?
So Kern is here giving me the thumbs up over here because he knows that we actually have a meeting with New Jersey Transit that's been scheduled for a little bit of time, this week or next week, right? The 8th. Okay, so let me start with kind of the bike share situation over here, and then we'll get into the bus system and the jitney system overall. On the bike share system, we were big advocates when we got that implemented to have an integrated system with New York. That was really a priority for us. To have an integrated system that really links all of the areas of Jersey City together. The bike share people, when that started, ultimately wanted to only have them downtown. And I tell you, we were big advocates that it was a non-starter for us if it was only downtown. It had to have in every part of Jersey City to move forward. If you think about how they started City Bike in New York, they only started it in one borough. They only started it in Manhattan. And their belief from a business standpoint is that you start and consolidate in one area and gradually build. We raised the money, $2 million from private donations in order to get it, and we were adamant about the fact that every area is represented. This coming spring, we will be putting in another 20 bike stops throughout Jersey City. And the Heights is slated for quite a few of those. So first, I want to highlight, not everybody here rides a bike. I appreciate that. But that bike system will become even more integrated and larger throughout the city, which I think is important. That's number one. Number two, as it relates to particularly the 119, where I should say the primary concern I recognize, and we will have an answer after the 8th, after our meeting with New Jersey Transit, is the first time that I've actively, normally it's been people from my office or the state legislature being involved in it. I mean, I'm actively involved in going to this meeting with Kern, with the head of New Jersey Transit, and recognizing that the sole focus is bus transportation to the Heights, recognizing that it's not reliable and we'd like them to take over ownership instead of outsourcing those lines. That's first and foremost what we're pushing for. We also also recognize the fact, and we'll be working with you guys on the fact that the jitneys, better integrating them into linking downtown and some of the business areas to the heights in a better manner to actually expand what you have up here. So when I follow up with you, and generally each of these ward meetings, what I do afterwards is follow up with the community meetings, say here are my action items, here are the things that I'm working on, here's my takeaways. This will be on there, you will get a response in 8 days as to where we are as a byproduct of what New Jersey Transit is going to do. And I'm going to push really hard. You know, I recognize that it's a problem, and it's something that we're focused on correcting, and I think that we will be able to get it done.
One thing that we're going to be talking about is 24-hour transportation, because I know a lot of people that work second and third shifts literally cannot get back to the heights.
His point is that his point is one of the focuses of the meeting on the 8th is 24-hour service. That right now we end at 1 o'clock, right?
Yeah, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, right? 1 o'clock, and 24-hour service is crucial to making this a 24-hour community, and it's on our agenda list for next week.
All right, thank you. That concludes the prepared question part. But before we can make a statement from the Washington Park Association, and on behalf of Riverview Neighborhood Association, who's also been working so hard to put this together, we'd like to thank you for appointing Captain Edgar Martinez to the North District. Since its arrival, the Heights Crime Stats has worked in a safe environment for our Heights residents. We ask you to consider adding sufficient manpower to keep up with the rate of attrition within the department. Can you commit to this?
So I did this warding meeting last week, and they did the same thing. They were giving me a whole thing, and they said, will you commit to this right now? And, all right, let me tell you a little bit about the policing situation that we have in the city right now. And outside of the statistics, because statistics don't really paint a picture, I think we can appreciate that. And I'll share with you some of the challenges that we have and what we're trying to do to overcome that. So there has not, right now, let me take a step back and say one of the biggest challenges that we have is something that your councilman for Ward C has been on for the last 5 years. And truthfully, when the previous administration disbanded it, I didn't realize what kind of detriment it would be at the time, but is the elimination of the police academy here in Jersey City. And basically what that's done is it's made it an obstacle for us to hire police officers at the scale that we want to grow the department. So we budgeted money, we have the space to do it, but we can't find the slots in academies around the region. We fill every single spot that is available in every single academy anywhere in the state of New Jersey within reason. I mean, we're looking at Cape May as an example, how extreme we're going on this, and people with dorm. Just to give you a perspective on what that looks like from our standpoint. Now, Jersey City, when I took office in 2013, in arguably the most diverse city in the entire country. I always say this, the home of Ellis Island, the home of Statue of Liberty. You look around this room, it really speaks to America and the diversity that's here. In this city, the number of African American officers above the rank of police officer, which is the lowest level position at 770 officers when I took office, was 1. It wasn't 1%, the number was 1. And so we've made it deliberate. This is before Staten Island, before Ferguson, and before the national conversation about making sure that a police department reflects the community that it serves. We've made it a priority to do that. We've set up an office on the south side of Jersey City to really focus on recruiting minority, particularly African American officers, similar to what they do in the Marine Corps, how they follow up, when they follow up, how you hold people's hand through the process. Part of the challenge of that, and one of the things that I want to share, because nothing happens in absolute terms, one of the things that happens to that is that a lot of the people that we get into the department, they drop the first day. Whether it's because they didn't believe it in their heart that they wanted to be, or they don't like their drill instructor, whatever the reason is, the day one when they get to the police academy, they say, this is not for me. That places a tremendous challenge on the city and with the job that I'm trying to do, for the reason that once they drop out of that spot, I do not have the ability again to refill that spot with somebody else. That spot is gone. So intention of making sure that the police department reflects the city has other impacts to it as well as it relates to filling every spot possible. Over the last 2 years, we've hired about 150 officers. We're fluctuating right now around 800, a little bit more officers, and we're constantly battling the retirement rate, and that tends to be an obstacle. most of the young officers that come into Jersey City, I put on the south side and the west side of Jersey City. Truthfully, I don't put them all up in the Heights, and I don't put them all downtown, because the biggest challenges from a crime standpoint are in the south and the west of the entire city. And that certainly impacts everybody throughout the city. If you look at the job that Edgar and his team are doing in the Heights, you'd be hard to argue that they aren't doing a good job. They're doing a really, really good job. That's right. And so we feel pretty good about the direction overall of the police department and the direction that we are going. It's not perfect. And we have pockets of challenge, which I could certainly speak to in detail, but I think overall, when you look at the picture in the Heights up here, it is a pretty good picture overall as it relates to safe neighborhoods. I could comfortably say that. So that's kind of where we are ultimately. We're going to continue to hire people. We're meeting with the Attorney General to push them in order to allow us to reopen that police academy. So you understand some of the challenges on that. The old police academy was grandfathered in based on regulations from previous having it forever, basically. So we weren't subject to some of the strict regulations that are there today. Once it was closed, and now that we're trying to reopen it, the state is saying that we are subject to those rules. And that is an ongoing dialogue back and forth. So their position is you build a police academy and we will see if we approve it. And my position is you have to tell us that you will approve it before I build it, right? So this is the dialogue that we're on right now, ultimately. But I share it with you because crime and policing and making sure that you feel safe is an absolute priority for us. It is literally ground zero of making sure that everybody feels safe. That's my piece.